Hey, hello everyone, and this is slightly different talk from what you have been hearing so far. So I'm very focused on testing. From the morning onwards, you've heard about there are hard problems to solve always. Performance is one of them. Scaling is one of them. I heard the word scaling talked about a lot. I'm Peter. I work at Intuit, and yesterday Rajat talked about our journey with GraphQL. So you might remember that talk. So I work in the same organization and we do a lot of stuff on GraphQL. But I'm focused a little bit on test automation. I'm going to talk about this particular project called Karate. It's open source. It's been around for 2 years. And if you know Cucumber, you might see some similarities. If you don't know Cucumber, that's fine. I'm going to show you a demo. And one of the interesting things is I'm the primary developer of this and I'm working out of Bangalore. So you can think of this as a truly Bangalore open source project. So please do, contribute. And just to give you an indication of its success, if I dare to call it such, this is the GitHub page and it's got 1,700 stars, a fair amount of contributors and pull requests. So it's showing all the healthy signs. And how many of you use Stack Overflow? All of you use it, I'm sure. So I couldn't resist the chance of bragging about my score because I'm answering a lot of questions on Karate. So there are a lot of people actually using it. So I'm going to show you a demo of actually testing this endpoint. I think most of you know this. This is that publicly available endpoint and all that. And although Karate is written in Java, and I'm sure that's going to turn off a lot of you because this is a hardcore JavaScript crowd, no worries. I'm going to show you Visual Studio Code, so that's probably going to make you happier. And if I can figure out, yeah. So this is what a Karate test looks like, and straight away you can see that I think one of the selling points of Karate is that you can embed GraphQL straight away inside it. And I think one of the things people miss a lot when you talk about testing is it's very easy to make an HTTP request. It's very easy to do that, right? And it's very easy to check for a 200 OK. But when you have some complicated data coming back and you have these horribly nested JSONs, and that's a fact of life in GraphQL, right? You'll have your data, you'll have your nodes, edges, more edges. So I believe Karate has got some good capabilities to do that. For example, if you look at this line here, and I will talk a little bit about JSON Path. This is a very simple assertion. You're saying, hey, on the response, data.pokemon.number should be equal to this, right? That's a very simple case, but this is probably what you would like to do a lot of the time. You're basically saying, hey, in this large array of JSONs that may have come back, I want to check whether this particular snippet or chunk of JSON actually was contained. And Karate is really, really good for this. Okay. In fact, in this particular test, there are 2 scenarios, and I'm actually reading GraphQL from a file here. That's again a great thing. Karate encourages reuse, and it's actually this file over here. So you can have this chunk of GraphQL kind of reused by all your tests, and that's a great thing. I'm actually going to run this test, and again, if you are, if you're worried about, hey, what is this Java guy trying to sell Java to a JavaScript shop and all that? Karate has this 25 MB executable. The only thing you need as a prerequisite is the GRE. And that's pretty simple. It's there by default on all AWS instances, for example. So that is the feature file or the test script file, which I just showed you. I'm going to execute it. It's hopefully going to make a live call to that particular GraphQL endpoint that I showed you. That's the post. That's the response, and the second post, and the test is ended. So that's how it works. And if you notice, if I just take your attention to the last part of the feature file, there's something very interesting going on here, in my opinion at least. It's that I've defined an expected set of results, And it can be in any order. You know how servers behave typically, right? Your array, your data might come in different order, no problem. Karate has this pretty awesome assertion syntax, which I'll explain a little bit, where you can check in a particular nested chunk of JSON that this array exists, but you don't care about the order of the elements in that array. So back to the slides. So if you get the slides, you'll be able to look at that particular example. The link is there. These are a lot of the matching constructs that Karate has. And by the way, if you see that star, how many of you know what JSON Path is? Okay, so there is this thing called JSON Path. Think of it as SQL for JSON, right? A lot of the time when you have this large JSON that's come back, you need to be actually able to, you're interested only in some subsets of that JSON. This is how you can actually do a select of those pieces of the JSON that you want. And Karate kind of has this very interesting mashup of JavaScript and JSON path. You can see the hash number, and you can see the hash regex. Straight away, you can see how useful this is for testing, because most of the time, the server is giving you random IDs and UUIDs and date stamps. You can kind of just check for formats and then move on. I won't explain this slide in detail. There's a lot, but the takeaway and what I'm trying to show you with this slide is that Karate is a really, really good assertion framework, right? And again, I repeat, assertions is what you, if you are in the business of testing anything, that's what you're going to be doing most of the time. That's what's the most pain for you guys. And I'm just going to show you one example in all of this that is a very common case in JavaScript. Imagine that you have an array of 2 JSONs, but you are only interested in one key value pair, right? Because you really don't care about the other, random stuff on the payload or the response. You can actually do this, which is the last line. You can actually say, hey, given an array of JSONs, I want to check for only one particular JSON, and at the same time, I'm only interested that that JSON has one or maybe these particular key value pairs, and I can ignore the rest. And this works. People love it, and you should check it out. I think that's mostly what I had to cover. Karate is very comprehensive. It has been around for a long time. It is open source. A lot of people have contributed to it, at least through bugs. I spent a lot of time on that. And I really want to call it the last box on the right, performance testing. This is one of the surprising capabilities of Karate. What it means that you can take an existing set of functional test cases. I have to mention that Karate is great at running your tests in parallel. That's something you really, really need. All of us know that HTTP tests, as opposed to unit tests, take much longer, right? They execute in the order of even like 20 minutes and all that. You can dramatically crunch your time because Karate runs tests in parallel. The performance testing that I want to talk about is really interesting. If you have a set of functional test cases, you can just add a load model, multiply users by 100,000, and straight away it becomes a Gatling test. I think a lot of you may have heard of Gatling. It's one of the famous load testing tools out there. And today I see a problem in the industry is that you typically have to rewrite, you have functional tests, and most teams today are rewriting that in Gatling or JMeter or Loadster or whatever it is. Karate solves that problem really elegantly. You should check it out. So with that, and WebSocket support is part of Karate's selling points. We heard a lot about subscriptions and live queries and all that, so that might come in useful. That's all I had. Thank you very much.